Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Television Edition. Damian Nelson here sitting alongside the man they call Meathead.
Who looks amazing in high definition head.
Frank Cosentino, the Cos, on assignment this week. He is not able to join us, but be that as it may, we've got an action-packed show lined up for you. Coming off the heels, Meathead, of last week's 10 best wrestlers of all time.
Which was defined by us. That was our list. Now, any of you type people who think that Damien's list is wrong, Frank's list is wrong, or my list is wrong, it's our opinion. We're not saying you have to agree with it. We're just saying that's our opinion. If you don't like it, make your own list.
And there wasn't too much of that. There was a lot more of questions as to how we see the 10 best in other categories. And remember, you can vote for your selected monthly episode of 10 Best at PWRshow.com. Each month we bring you a special edition of the Pro Wrestling Report featuring the 10 best. But this week we're going to bring you another bonus round of 10 best, as based off of viewer suggestions and comments. We're going to go.
I told you that I really want to have that 10 best show as well. So after we've done 11 of our 10 best shows, we'll have a 10 best, and you guys will complain about the one that got left off.
It's the 10 best heel wrestlers of all time. 10 best bad guys in professional wrestling. For those of you who may not know, there are two definitions of wrestlers. There's the face, baby face, the good guy, and the heel, the bad guy. Many people have said for a long time, Meathead, it's a lot easier to be a heel than to be a face, and we will see a lot of people on these lists who have run both roles, but may not necessarily end up on the top 10 babyface list. So,
correct.
The 10 best heels, the 10 best bad guys, people who in this business you love to hate or just hated to hate. There are so many different heels, as I've defined some as the best prick heel, the best heel, true heel heat. There are so many different variables as it pertains to that. However, we're going to give you our list of the 10 best, and we're going to start right now with number 10. Number 10 from me is a man who really had that heel hate heat that you rarely see in the business, where people truly hated him. You saw it from another superstar who is also on my list. I won't spoil it. But this man in TNA Wrestling was a dominant part of the show and was champion for a very long time, and for a very long time as well, the fans truly despised him. Number 10, top heel of all time, is J-E-F-F, J-A-R-R-E, Double T. Not just in his TNA days, Jeff Jarrett, but even in his WCW days when he was the Chosen One.
Yeah, that's right, Chosen One. He is also going to be on my list. He's not number 10, as I was thinking about it as well. What made me hate Jeff Jarrett, but what also makes me like Jeff Jarrett? Jeff Jarrett played the role of a heel perfectly. I harken back to, I believe it was August 10th, 1999, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's the final ever Raw taping before they did SmackDown. And I'm ringside. Jarrett comes walking out, and I yell out the famous words, "Hey, Jeff, you suck." And he goes, "F you." That is what a heel should do. He should interact with the fans and upset them. But again, he also made me mark for him, too, because, this guy did his job.
Interesting point, interesting choice. A dual number 10, Jeff Jarrett, currently of TNA Wrestling. Let's move on to number 9, ladies and gentlemen, of the 10 best heels of all time. And for me, it is a man who, quite frankly, can talk his way to being the most hated man in wrestling. He is still in the business, however, not being used in a role that I think truly allows him to be as good as
Aldo
he can be.
Montoya?
But you even see him cut promos at Dairy Queen from time to time. Even if you go back to his NWA, WCW, WWE days, Jim Cornette is one of the top 10 best heels in professional wrestling. He was a great mouthpiece for whoever he was attached to, whether it be Yokozuna, Vader, the Midnight Express, all different versions of it. His feud and angle with Paul E. Dangerously back when he was a face briefly. The scaffold match, where he broke both of his legs. Jim Cornette is truly a man who could, just by speaking a few words, cause you to appreciate him and hate him at the same time, making him number 9 on my list.
Exactly. Jim Cornette and Jarrett wasn't my 10, but now that you wrote it down on a list, Jarrett can be my 10.
You said he's also my 10.
When you edit this program, you'll see that he's not my 10. He's on my list, but he's 10 now. Thanks, Damian Nelson. Yeah, loving James E., if you will. The tennis record isn't making it into my top 10, but my number 9 is a guy that, I don't know how to explain it, a guy that had the mental acumen, again, ding ding, to pull you in. A lot of wrestlers from today's generation mention him as a mentor. Raven, even in WCW, mentioned the Snake as a guy who, taught him how to be in the ring. And I'm going to take you into a labyrinth of my mind. Jake the Snake Roberts, when he was a heel, was able to twist and turn, and you didn't like the Snake, you didn't like the way he worked people, you didn't like the way he manipulated things. He had an evil stink about him, a stench about him. Jake the Snake Roberts, number 9.
Interesting choice, number 9 for me, Jim Cornette. Number 9 for the band they call me Dad is Jake Roberts. I almost said Jeff Roberts for some reason. Jake Roberts.
That's what his mama calls him.
Let's move on to number 8, ladies and gentlemen, as we go along this track of the 10 best heels of all time in professional wrestling here on the Pro Wrestling Report. For me, number 8 is a man who, again, for a lot of times, especially in the year 1999 and 2000, had a lot of heat on him. A man who says, in a recent interview, he prefers to be heel over face. That man is Triple H. Triple H, a man who could, just by his associations, really be a hated person in professional wrestling. You think about the times where he was owning the championship, whichever it may have been in World Wrestling Entertainment, and you just truly hated Triple H, especially when Triple H was being built. I refer back to that 1999-2000 area where every pay-per-view he should have lost. And I mean should have by what the fans thought. But Triple H was defined by his performance over that period of time, and quite frankly, was a great heel leading into a tremendous face return in January of 2001 after what I believe was a quadricep injury.
Correct. Number 8, Triple H for the man they call Damian Nelson. Number 8 for myself, again, you had me thinking about the McMahon-Helmsley era. I'm going to throw a manager out there. If this manager would have been managing Triple H, I think there would have been no stopping any of these guys. Even if Triple H has the book.
Shelton Benjamin?
Even if Triple H has the book and he's in the family, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Triple H would have been the head of that family. Now, granted, I put him on my top 10 wrestlers of all time. That was to get you upset. But Bobby the Brain Heenan was never a face manager. But when he spoke, he got you. Every time.
Better than Jim Cornette?
Better than Jim Cornette.
Because that's usually the comparison that's made between two orators in professional wrestling, Bobby Heenan and Jim Cornette.
In my mind, Bobby the Brain Heenan, the number 1 manager, the number 1 man on the microphone. I was just watching videos today with Paul Orndorff. I was watching videos today with him with, it doesn't matter who he was with. Kurt Hennig, it didn't matter. With Ric Flair, it didn't matter. Bobby the Brain Heenan was the best of what he did.
Number 8 for me is Triple H. Number 8 for the man they call Meathead is Bobby the Brain Heenan. Let's move on to number 7, ladies and gentlemen, 10 best heels of all time. And for me, it is a man who truly has become as good as he ever was in the past, whether it be in his WCW days or his first run in WWE. He is a man who has the ability to communicate to the fans in such a way that you just wanted to step in that ring and slap the taste out of his mouth. He is also on my 10 best wrestler list, and that man is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho has this intensity to him now that is rivaled
as well
by none in professional wrestling, and quite frankly, he is a person who you can love to hate, and you've heard that a lot as far as heel wrestlers go. Can you love to hate these people? Because if you hate them enough, you're going to be buying tickets and going to see them, ordering the pay-per-views, watching on TV, thus making it a success. Chris Jericho, number 7 on my list.
Jericho's going to be on the list as well. I'm just not ready at the moment. But number 7 for me is a guy who, in his run in the WWF around the 80s, used to have different pictures painted on his tights. And one of the hottest things was, I believe it was Jake's wife that he had on there. Mm-hmm. When Jake was a face. Ravishing Rick Rude, RRR, if you will, Triple R. That guy really made you hate him. Came out, rubbed his body, had all the women all over him, thought he was the be-all, end-all. Ravishing Rick Rude.
This is for all you Mississippi sweat hogs.
That's right. Ravishing Rick Rude was a very definite heel.
Interestingly enough, you picked Jake Roberts and Rick Rude, and some would say that the feud really defined both those characters. Yeah. Obviously, Jake the Snake Roberts performing the role of the face in that feud. But
Which was his first go as a face, I believe, in the WWF.
WWF, yeah. All right, number 7 from the man they call Meathead, Ravishing Rick Rude, and from me, Y2J, Chris Jericho. 10 best heels of all time continues as we go to number 6, rounding out the bottom 5. For me, it is a man who is an opportunist. A man who, for the last 3 years in the business, has been easy to hate. It's the situations he ends up in, the people he associates with. And he's gone from a comedy act of his earlier days in wrestling to being the rated R superstar. Number 6 on my 10 best heel wrestlers of all time list is Edge. You just gotta love to hate him because he always steps up and steps into the opportunity to become the champion. You look at the
He
responses
is
at
an 8-time
PWRshow.com.
champion right now.
You look at the responses at PWRshow.com after No Way Out when he again took advantage of an opportunity to become the champion, and there was so much hatred for Edge, and people were talking about it. And it wasn't that they hate what happened, it was that they hate how Edge continues to win in that fashion, thus meaning it's working. Edge, number 6 for me.
Yeah, and it's something that we alluded to over the weekend at the Great Lakes Championship Wrestling Show. Cheered or booed, but you get a reaction. Even if they're booing you and you're supposed to be face or whatever you're supposed to be, if they're booing you, that means they care. They know and they care.
I've only seen one fan ever who gets it, and that was during a Jeff Jarrett promo on TNA Impact one week where a fan dead center against the camera turned his back and crossed his arms. That is bad.
Yeah, and that's where we talk about Jeff Jarrett's hate heat. And this guy's not on my list, but I have to mention the other person I know that has had hate heat, and he didn't show up to the weekend show as the special guest referee, but X-Pac had hate heat. Nobody wanted to see the guy. I mean, seriously, nobody cared about him. Didn't he have a faction at one point to X Factor, with Justin Credible and Jerry Lynn? Oh, it was terrible. Terrible. What are we on, 6?
Yes, number 6.
Number 6 on my list is going to go out to a newer generation guy. He's not number 1 on my list, or like he may be on Damien's, but he is a newer, actually he's a 3rd generation wrestler. His daddy, Ace Cowboy Bob Orton, was in WrestleMania 1, the main event, and people hated him.
Oh, it wasn't technically in it.
He was there. He got involved in a match. Muhammad Ali swiped at him. It's Randy Orton. He's got, right now, one of the best entrance themes around, and he's a great heel. Unfortunately, he, in my opinion, overdoes it. That's what keeps him off of the top 5. But Randy Orton is amazing.
Overdoes it how? Overdoes what?
The facial expression, it's just overdone. He pushes it. It seems like he's trying too hard.
Interesting analysis. Randy Orton, number 6 for the man they call Meathead. For me, let's moving on to number 5 is the top 5, or the 10 best heels of all time. As a man who defines himself as a wrestling god. He is JBL. You gotta hate him. And he performed the role of a heel so well. And he's been in that role for a very long time, especially when he was the world champion, the longest reigning champion on SmackDown, when he was on commentary. He is a pompous, arrogant prick that you just love to hate. JBL, number 5 on my list.
Number 5 on my list is who I alluded to earlier. He used to go by the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla. He was the Lionheart.
Ralphus?
He was the Lionheart. When he became a heel first in WCW, that's when I bought into Chris Jericho. Because you know what? He was the spoiled brat, punk, snotty-nosed kid who wasn't getting his way, beat up Dave Pinzer every week, and I hate Dave Pinzer. So, I mean, anybody that beats up Dave Pinzer is, a hero of mine. Chris Jericho Y2j, in his run in WCW as a heel, I loved it because it was funny. In his run as a heel in WWF, it was kind of funny, and he got built back into a face. But then when he finally came back to heel this year, after beating up Shawn Michaels and putting the Geritron 10,000 or whatever through his face, this is the heel that Jericho was meant to play. Excuse my voice, by the way.
Number 4 for me, ladies and gentlemen, is another non-wrestler, but a man who, much like Meathead just said, was the Ivy League prick who came in and took away from a lot of fans what they thought was theirs, and that was the dominance of WWE over every other wrestling organization. He was the executive vice president of WCW. His name is Eric Bischoff.
I'm back!
July of 2002, especially when Bischoff was announced as the new general manager of Raw, the shock that surrounded that event shows you just how hated that man was in his WCW days, and this puts him on the list of the 10 best heels ever.
Yeah, that's an amazing pick. Number 4 on Damien's list, Eric Bischoff. Unbelievable. You know what? He's not even in my top 10. I forgot about him, to be honest with you, but he belongs. He belongs just like Daddy belongs on your list, too. Number 4 on the Man They Call Meatheads list is going to go back to a guy that's also one of the top 10 faces of all time. He played both roles. You could tell when he was trying to be one or the other, but in his prime, he can't do it anymore. But in his prime, the Nature Boy Ric Flair was a top heel. He got you to hate him because he was styling and profiling, limousine riding, jet flying, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, Nature Boy.
Going to number 3 now, ladies and gentlemen, it's a man who I've recently described as the best prick heel in the history of the business. A man who is on Meathead's list already, and a man who truly is a jerk as far as his television persona goes, and that is Randy Orton. Randy Orton is another person who you just want to hate and have no problem hating in World Wrestling Entertainment and as a bad guy.
Number 3, that's where we're at on my list right now.
We're at number 3.
Number 3 on my list, Triple H. Now, you want to hate him, as Damien has mentioned before, you want to hate him because he's married into the company. He was on the card and kept the belt, kept holding a glass ceiling over all the other boys in the locker room, kept on TV. I mean, in a 2-hour program, he was on there 30% of the time. Triple H.
That glass ceiling is arguably the case. I don't believe it. I don't buy it.
It's just arguable.
Number two, ladies and gentlemen, a man who, quite frankly, it was difficult
no pun
to
meant
choose.
for Frank.
It's difficult to choose number 1, as you'll find out when I get to number 1. But my number 2 is a man who really was just a hated person in professional wrestling, especially during its heyday in the 80s. That man is a man who's appeared on this very program, a man who is scheduled to be a part of WrestleMania 25, Roddy Piper. Piper was a great man in the ring and on the stick as well, and I don't think today's wrestling fans can really appreciate just how good he was at being bad.
A lot of fans can't appreciate that because they see the Piper that they see now put out in front of them. They don't realize the Piper. Again, the YouTube generation, the style. YouTube viewers and PWR show viewers may have seen older Piper videos. I mean, just imagine it. Like I was telling you today. Today I happened to be watching the main event from WrestleMania 1 when Piper walks down the aisle. He ooded. Did I say ooded?
Mm-hmm.
He oozed. There you go. He oozed cockiness, pompousness. Roddy Piper. So, number 2 on my list, we'll go out to, I was trying to think if he should be 1 or if he should be 2, and, my 1, should that be 1 and should that be 2? Roddy Piper is also going to be my number 2. Again, this is a guy, and it's funny that Damien put him there. This is a guy who, when he walked to the ring, I mean, think about the days when, even though he was a face when this happened, Morton Downey Jr. spraying the fire extinguisher on his face. This is a guy
I told you not to blow that smoke in my face no more.
This is a guy that, had Piper's Pit and smacked people over the head with coconuts. This is a guy, along with all the other bad guys in WWF that really made you hate them.
Roddy Piper rounding out number 2 for both of us. Let's move on to the top 10. The number 1, rather, heel in professional wrestling as we see it, as our opinion show. And for me, that is the man who I always say when he's coming back that Daddy's coming home. Vince McMahon.
I'm
not sure it needs to be described. It all started, for the last 12 years, he truly has been one of the top heels in the business. It started in 1997 with that whole screw job over Bret Hart. That's when the hate started. And with him truly being the boss and him truly acting out against superstars and that progressing onto television, Vince McMahon, in my opinion, the top heel of all time in professional wrestling.
You know what? It's mine too, but I wanted to give honorable mention. You've explained everything I want with VKM. I'm going to give honorable mention to the bad guy, Razor, who's better looking than 10 movie stars.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
He was a heel for not very long, though.
But the bad guy was a good bad guy. I can't believe that our top twos are identical. I'm flabbergasted. And by the way, now start sending in your hate mail because your favorite bad guy isn't on the list.
Well, we want, and again, in the last episode, you guys were very, very constructive with your feedback, and we want to see your lists as well.
Most were constructive. I'm being facetious when I say this. We do want your responses, be it good or bad. As I mentioned in this little thing we've done here, cheer or boo, as long as you respond. We're doing what we're supposed to do.
So feel free to comment on this video or send us an email to comments@pwrshow.com, or even give us a call on our Monday night ESPN radio show, which can be streamed live right after WWE Raw. It's 10 o'clock Central at PWR Show.
Who do we have on the show again this last Monday, Damian?
This past week, Booker T was our special guest on the show. You had that on top of Kevin Nash, King Kong Bundy, and Sonny, who have been on the last 4 weeks. The stars continue to come out for the Pro Wrestling Report. And stay tuned, obviously, to hear the next big superstar interview that we have lined up. Coming up next week, we've got a full WrestleMania 25 preview. We're going to go match by match and preview the big event coming on April 5th to Houston's Reliant Stadium. That's next week right here on the Pro Wrestling Report television edition. And for the man they call Meathead and the Cause, this is Damian Nelson saying so long and thanks for tuning in.